Hey everyone! So I am back with yet another book haul. I have to say I did pretty well for collecting books over the summer. Maybe a little too well. um, so this book haul is going to consist of a few books that were sent to me for review, as well as some that I ordered from Book Outlet, of course, and also a bunch that I picked up at Chapters clearance for an outrageously good deal. So, first, the ones that were sent for review. From Hachette Book Group, I received I'm Just No Good at Rhyming and Other Nonsense for Mischievous Kids and Immature Grown-Ups by Chris Harris. And I've read some of the poems in here, but I'm not done yet. And so far it's kind of a mixed bag for me. Some of them have kind of appealed to my sense of humor, and others I think maybe I would have enjoyed more when I was younger, but maybe I'm not an immature enough grown-up. I don't know. And the other one I got from Hachette Book Group was The Tethered Mage by Melissa Caruso. I've already read this one. I quite enjoyed it, and my review will be coming up soon on my blog and Goodreads. Basically, I think it's an adult fantasy, and it's got a really cool world that it's set in and sort of premise. The first half I found very slow, and then things really picked up in the second half, but obviously I'll go into more detail in my review. I was contacted by the PR for Elisabeth Voltz for this book of hers called Shoebox Funeral, Stories from Wolf Creek. And they were kind of selling it as this really beautiful physical copy, and I have to say that really is the case. It's cloth bound with really beautiful lettering here in gold, and then on the back it's got a really simple design there. And then on the inside it's got these end pages along with a This Book Belongs To spot sort of map included. And it's a really kind of simple, like elegant sort of design. At the start of each chapter there's a little illustration. And yeah, it really is what looks to be a very like physically beautiful book, in an old-fashioned kind of way. Which I get the feeling is sort of the feel of the novel. And I think it's just a bunch of stories about living on a farm in Pennsylvania in the 1980s and 1990s, and kind of all of the, I think especially stories with animals. And then from Penguin Random House, I was contacted about a few books that they had coming out. The first is Text Don't Call, An Illustrated Guide to the Introverted Life by INF Joe. Apparently, INF Joe is quite well known for like these cartoons / comics that he does online, and it was totally new to me actually, like that kind of style. I am definitely an introvert and relate to the introverted way of life, so I think I'll be able to relate to a lot of what he says in here. And then the next one from them is You're Weird, a creative journal for misfits, oddballs, and anyone else who's uniquely awesome. So this is a kind of like journal style book celebrating your weirdness, basically. So there's a lot of prompts in here. For example, think of this as your personal Guinness Book of Weirdness records. Then they have a whole bunch of prompts. The weirdest piece of clothing I've ever worn, the weirdest idea I've ever had, the weirdest thing I've ever said out loud, etc. And you can fill it in. They've got some, for example, pictures of sheep here. And they say, black sheep, welcome here. Add a few oddballs to this flock. So you could do some doodling. So I haven't tried any of these yet, but I'm interested to kind of get creative with that. And then along the same lines, there's another one called Surprise Yourself. Get out of your head and into the world. And this one is right up my alley. That's exactly what I need to do a lot of the time. Again, it kind of has these different prompts. So, for example, steal someone else's morning routine. And so you write down kind of like steps that you can do in a morning routine that's, I guess, different from your own to kind of shake things up a little bit. Organize a care package for someone. Go stargazing. Go window shopping at an art gallery. Learn about someone else's religion. So it's got a whole bunch of these nifty prompts that, you might not find yourself doing ordinarily in your daily routine. Okay, so those were the books that I received for review. And then the ones that I purchased from Book Outlet are Wrong About the Guy by Claire Lazebnik. I've read Epic Fail, so I wanted to try another one in that sort of series by her. And I believe this is a retelling, like a contemporary YA retelling of Emma by Jane Austen. And Again by Jessica Chiarella. This is an adult sort of sci-fi futuristic one, I want to say. So the tagline on it is, what would you do if you had a second chance at life? So there are these 4 individuals who have been given this miracle cure, genetically perfect bodies as part of this medical program. And their new bodies are exact replicas of the old ones without the deadly illnesses that they had suffered before. All of their imperfections have been erased. But without their old bodies, their new physical identities have no memories. I'm kind of intrigued by that premise, interested to check it out. The Lost Summer of Louisa May Alcott by Kelly O'Connor McNeill. This one is kind of like a fictional reimagining of Louisa May Alcott's life. It says deftly mixing fact and fiction, but I think there is a fair bit of fiction in here. I guess they must have based it on some facts in her life. But I don't know how much of the romance, which is the central story here, is based on actual facts about Louisa May Alcott. But I do like Little Women, so I figured for the price it was on Book Outlet, I would get it and check it out. Stray by Alyssa Sussman. This is a fairy tale retelling. I think this is a fairy tale retelling, but I'm not sure which fairy tale it is. Or if it's just kind of like fairy tale-esque. It sounds like it's sort of dystopian and a darker sort of fairy tale. Strange Sweet Song by Addie Rule. This one is a fantasy, I think YA fantasy. It's about this girl who is a really wonderful singer, and her name is Sing. So I don't know about that part of it, but I saw reviews that said it was good despite the fact that that seems super cheesy. She goes to this school where she wants to prove how talented she is at singing. But then she's only cast as the understudy in this production of the opera Angelique. And so then there becomes this sort of question of, are these like fantastical figures in the opera actually maybe real? It's supposed to be lyrical, gothic, and magical. And like gothic, fantasy, singing, yes please. Sounds good. Okay, and then the last one from Book Outlet was The Other Me by Saskia Sargensen. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And I think this is an adult novel, and it's a historical book, kind of split between 2 different timelines. One that is sort of like close to present day, 1990s, I think, 1980s, 1990s. And that follows this young woman named Claudia who creates this whole different identity for herself. But she's like super ashamed of her dad because she believes that he did all these horrible things in the war, and her like the classmates from school called him a Nazi, and so she's really like kind of estranged from her dad, sort of. There's a lot of tension there. But then her mom dies, and so she has to go back home and she's living with her dad, and all this stuff about his past keeps cropping up, and also kind of a mystery sort of surrounding her mom's death. And then the other timeline follows Ernst, who is her dad's brother, and kind of follows him throughout the years of the lead up to World War II and then during World War II. And then the last set of books are the really good deals I couldn't pass up at Chapters. I discovered a mother load of books, okay? And they were on, a lot of them were like $2, right? I picked up Her by Harriet Lane. This is kind of like a mystery thriller sort of book, I believe, an adult novel about this, I think, sort of toxic friendship between two women. I discovered later when I went home and looked it up online that it had gotten like really poor reviews on Goodreads, but I still want to check it out. So we'll see what I make of it. First Frost by Sarah Addison Allen. I read and really enjoyed Garden Spells many years ago now, and this is the follow-up book to that. Night Film by Marisha Pessel. This is another thriller type, and I think it got a lot of buzz on YouTube, like BookTube, a while ago, like maybe a couple years ago, and it is really heavy, like super, super heavy. It's also an adult novel. All three of these so far have been adult novels. But I really liked the way that it uses sort of different media. I thought that was really cool to tell the story. Like, it's got some of those kind of inserts to make it feel more real. And I really am curious to check this one out. Diana Wynne Jones, Mixed Magics. I've got several others in the Chrestomanci series. I haven't read all of them yet, but I read one of the Chrestomanci books earlier this year and liked it. And for $2, I thought, why not? So these are just 4 short stories set in that universe. So I probably won't read this one for a while until I've read more in that series. A Beauty by Connie Go. This is another adult historical. It's set in the 1930s and follows this 18-year-old girl named Elena. And I think it's set in Saskatchewan. What happens is a stranger shows up at a country dance and Elena ends up leaving her village with him. And so they basically go on a road trip, I think, in Saskatchewan. It's cool that it's set in Saskatchewan because you don't find too many books. Well, for one thing, you don't find too many books set in Canada. But also, if they're going to be set in Canada, they're not usually set in Saskatchewan. So that's pretty cool. Oblivion by Kelly Krieg. This is the third and I think final book in the Nevermore series. And I had read the first one and enjoyed it. And I have the second one in my possession, but I have not yet read it. Guilt by Catherine Longshore. This is a YA historical. And it's set in the court of King Henry VIII. About this girl named Kitty Tilney and her best friend Kat and their kind of lives in the court. And I've heard good things about this one. Keeping the Castle by Patrice Kindle. This is sort of a kind of an Austen-esque Victoria era YA, and they call it I Captured the Castle meets Pride and Prejudice. So I think I read one of Patrice Kindle's books like many years ago and I was not a big fan. So I've been a little wary of picking up other books by her since. But I've seen some good things about Keeping the Castle and it was only $2. And I do like Austen-esque style stories. So I thought I'd pick it up. And all those prices there got knocked in half. Turned out that they were having a 50% off their clearance sale that day. So I got those 8 books for something like $12. You can't really ask for more than that. Yeah, so I am set for books for quite a while. Doesn't mean I won't buy more, but I really shouldn't because I have a lot on my shelves now that I need to get through. Anyway, if you've read any of these books, let me know what your thoughts are, if you like them, if you didn't like them. I'd love to know. Bye!